Alright, so as you might have noticed from fucking everywhere, demos have made a resurgence, and funnily enough, they've been really popular and very successful because it allows people to get a nice, crisp, vertical slice of upcoming games without having to go into, early access commitment of money or backing a Kickstarter that may not come to fruition or a bunch of other shit that just ends up screwing up the user more than anyone else. Now, I was thinking of doing kind of a standalone video for each of these games I've played, but I thought to myself, I'd rather just do a quick overview of them all, make my recommendations, and then leave it to you guys to actually go and play them, because there is no point in having a demo if you're going to have some prick just walk you through what happens in it. Much better for you to just go off what I say, because clearly I'm a fucking authority, and then give the game a try yourself. This is not a complete list of every game I've played so far. I've played a couple that were and there are some games I haven't played yet, but I felt that these 5 are the ones that have very much stuck with me, and I want to make some recommendations. There is also, I suppose I should say, like, honourable mention, I haven't gotten around to playing it yet, Gloomwood. Everything I've seen has looked fantastic, if you're a follower of New Blood, you've almost certainly heard about the debacle that happened with the PC Gamer live stream where they completely forgot to play the fucking trailer. And Tafaking sounded so fucking disheartened. They convinced him to put his demo up, to do all this stuff, and then they just fucked it. They put it on at the end, but it was in horribly artifacted quality. But anyway, give Gloomwood a try. I'm going to give it a go as well, so take that as a couch recommendation, but everyone has been singing its praises. So I'm going to go for stuff you might not have heard of, or at least you've probably heard of and then gone, do I want to try it? So anyway, let's go. Ultrakill. Okay, this comes from Hakita Patala and New Blood, my new favourite publisher. Basic premise: mankind is dead, blood is fuel, hell is full. Kill fucking everything. It's a rapid-fast first-person shooter, as they kind of say, Devil May Cry meets Quake, and I would actually throw a little bit of Hotline Miami in there as kind of a aesthetic, and kind of an aesthetic reference as well, with a banging, intense soundtrack, lightning-quick action, which really does demand precision shooting and great grasp of all the controls, all of which do feel tight and engaging and very well balanced. Ultrakill is pretty much the end point for rapid-fire, skill-based first-person shooters. We've gone through years of playing games which simply just go snap into cover, pop out, shoot ahead in the distance, go back again. No. Ultrakill wants you to get right up in a motherfucker's grill, because you need to do that to get health back. You are in this constant violent circle, but in a good way, of killing, changing weapons, trying more difficult outcomes. You have a selection of different pistols, different shotguns, everything has alternate fires. You have fantastic ideas, such as a pistol which allows you to flick coins into the air, and if you shoot the coin, it automatically headshots an enemy. You can throw multiple coins in the air and bank shot off multiple coins for additional style. It's one of those games that is frustrating to begin with until you realise that little click has gone in your head and you've S-ranked a room, or you've double or triple S-ranked a room, and you go, oh fuck, I get it now. Like, you have to remove fear from the equation, and I will always respect games that kind of kick you out of that comfort zone and go, no, you've got to try here, you cannot cheese it. But at the same time, as much as I made it sound kind of hardcore and terrifying, Ultrakill is going to offer easier modes as well, and you don't have to S-rank all rooms. If you just want to play it like a standard first-person shooter, you absolutely can. But the real joy from Ultrakill, from the demo, and you've got about 5 levels and then a taster of the next area on, you get the most out of it when it's absolutely trying to fucking murder you, and I cannot recommend it enough. Give it a look. It's on the New Blood page. You'll find it. I think it's pretty much on the front page now. It's that popular. So yeah, you owe it to yourself to at least give it a try. HROT. I think I said that right. This is from Spinyev and Open for Business. I'm probably terribly pronouncing that, but fuck it. Is a grim, gloomy, and surprisingly tight and occasionally very silly retro first-person shooter from the guy who made Leggy, who you may recognise from a stream I did of their game a good while back. Now, retro first-person shooters have kind of been a dime a dozen at the moment, where, not to say they're not good, but the market is starting to flood in the post-dusk economy, so to speak, with Ultrakill being another good example of you've really got to push the boat out to kind of make it worth your while. HROT kind of comes at this from a much more technological standpoint, because this game was made out of Slav jank magic, also known as fucking Pascal. It uses a custom engine, specifically so it can get that 90s aesthetic down pat, and it does it very well. The basic idea behind it is that it's a game set after an unspecified disaster in Czechoslovakia in 1986, where men are men, women are horses, and milk comes in crunchy bags. The gameplay itself is fluid, crisp, tight, lacking some meat due to some kind of rather weedy sound design, but I feel like some of those are placeholders. As you go up against very much a nice selection of Quake style as well as standard first-person shooter fodder. You've got your grenade spewers, you've got floating heads, you've got horses and gas masks that fight you underwater. And generally speaking, while it's not the most technically mind-blowing game you'll see, it's definitely not the most colourful, it's definitely not got the best soundtrack, I have yet to find a single thing from this developer that has not just rung out as a technical achievement as well as creative achievement. And again, while it's probably not going to get as much recognition, although I would love it to, as some other games I'm going to recommend here, I would very much recommend you just give it a go. It's a tiny download, and what you get feels incredibly well thought out. It's very crisp, it's very fun, it's quite tricky if you put it on the harder difficulties for certain, and I am super looking forward to seeing how that game pans out. Conscript. Now this is from Catchweight Studios, and it's currently got a Kickstarter going as of now until I think the 16th of next month, and it's a third-person isometric horror game. The basic idea behind it is this is set in the French trenches in World War I, and we play a lone soldier in the aftermath of something intangible and have to find a way to fetch our wounded brother back from the front lines and get out of there alive. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done, as something seems to have happened to either my allies or the Germans, which has driven them insane, and now I'm having to fight my way through a series of incredibly claustrophobic and sometimes changing in terms of hazard locations with a dwindling supply of ammunition and health. The entire experience very much feels like a kind of Silent Hill, classic Resident Evil, puzzle solving and combat, but neither one is necessarily the absolute focal point. Rather, they both come together to give this overall feel, this kind of vibe, if you will, if I can lapse into millennial there for a second. Sorry, apparently a fox just decided to go outside, so that's great. From a mechanical standpoint, the game is actually surprisingly tight. The user interface and the navigation was all pretty much just straight off the bat easy to work out. I don't think I even looked at the list of the controls. I just went, okay, these are the keys I'd probably normally use. Bum, bum, bum. Worked beautifully. Things like using your stock survival horror tropes such as save points, item boxes, all work flawlessly, and never at one point did I ever feel that I was stuck or having to struggle through a user interface, and even little tweaks to gunplay that would normally be slightly irritating in this actually add more to the tension. For example, cycling the bolt on your rifle, or pulling the hammer back on your single action pistol. Little things that just remind you that in the middle of combat, if you panic, you're going to get yourself killed as you go click and realise, I didn't actually cycle the bolt yet. I suppose that all kind of comes together to my greatest compliment for Conscript, which is that it manages to be a horror game without actually using fantasy. At least not explicitly. From what I've seen from the actual demo itself, for all the horrific imagery that Conscript uses, none of it is outside the realm of what actually happened in World War One. Mounds of dead bodies, people screaming and hemorrhaging in the mud just outside of reach while you walk through this desolate, abandoned trench system. While it still feels oppressive and haunting in many ways, and there are definitely some unusual themes at play with with whatever's making everyone go crazy, it has not explicitly actually stated anything supernatural, and it is incredibly impressive that it still made me feel very much on edge from end to end. And I think for a lot of horror games, that is the one thing that's incredibly difficult to do, to be scary without having to rely on your traditional horror tropes. I would love to see Conscript get fully funded. I've already backed it, and if this sounds like your cup of tea, again, give the demo a go. There are plenty of things I actually didn't manage to do when I played it for about 45 minutes. You can definitely get some more time out of it than that, and I would say if you enjoy it in the slightest, give it a nudge. This game deserves some love, and I would love to see it actually get properly released. Industria. Now, Industria is a weird one. Coming from Bleak Mill and Head Up, Industria has a very, very short demo. Not to its detriment, necessarily. It communicates everything it needs to, but I would have liked a little more. Essentially, Industria is a game where you play a German physicist of some description who discovers that an AI has been running unchecked since 1970 and has basically started fucking with some interdimensional device that was in another room. It's a premise, just fucking go with it. Essentially, you go into the gigantic resonator thing, things go extremely wibbly-wobbly, and you fart out somewhere else. While, as a basic premise, it's pretty vague and it's mostly a conceit to get you into the action, the actual game itself really reminds me of another game, which I'm kind of waiting to come out at some point, called Atomic Heart, and I will try to not belabor the connections between the two, but to put it in a nutshell, Industria plays a lot of what Atomic Heart did for laughs. Industria plays them straight. It's got this sense of wild, untamed technology, of this strange fusion of it into the landscape, but it never feels like it's going, isn't this so wacky, but more, this is weird and unnatural and I don't like what it's doing. Now, I would still like to reserve my proper judgment until we see a little bit more of the game, but as it stands right now, it's a pretty functional, nice looking, and with some intelligent ideas kind of first-person shooter. If it comes out and it's very expensive, I might wait until it goes on sale, but I'm still interested to see where it goes. There are few games that can pull off that kind of look, and then actually tie in some fairly interesting tight gunplay as well. West of Dead. Now this is one that actually came onto my radar really late into making this video, and it was only kind of in the last day I actually saw it and went, oh fuck, I need to play that. West of Dead comes from Upstream Arcade and Raw Fury, and it's well, I mean, it's basically Weird West, and I'm a simple man. You show me Weird West, and I go, yes. You make it with the Mike Mignola art style, I go even more, yes. You make Ron Perlman do the voiceover work for the main character, and I have to lie down with a jar of Vaseline and some fucking Kleenexes. Working best with a D-pad, the actual crux of the action is pretty simple. Running, taking cover, and shooting with 2 different weapons, as well as tapping into 2 different abilities which you can cycle through as you move through levels. The levels themselves take a kind of non-linear approach, where there is a fixed exit, but exploration is paid off by being able to find additional weapons, upgrades, and little trinkets and tokens to make your life a little easier. What really stuck with me with West of Dead is not that the gameplay is super fast and crisp like Ultrakill or HROT, but it is in fact the opposite. It reminded me of the more postmodern westerns, things like Dead Man and Unforgiven, where gunplay is slow and forceful and brutal, rather than quick and snappy and sudden. It allows for a kind of gameplay where you are actually having to pay attention to where your shots are going, and not just rush into a room, because that will get you ventilated very quickly. While this may not necessarily be everyone's cup of tea, and maybe a touch too slow for some people who do like a nice, quick, snappy, pacey kind of game, I would still recommend trying out the West of Dead demo, because it definitely offers something a little different and a little bit more thoughtful than the average roguelite. It's still early doors, and I would still love to see if they can really double down and really make this a proper, evocative world, but everything I've seen so far, core gameplay-wise, seems absolutely rock solid, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some more. Anyway, those are the 5 demos I really want people to go out and try. Some because they are just really good, others because I think they're very interesting, and some because, like Conscript, they kind of need a bit of love to actually get the project going. And yeah, if you have any other demos you've played and you think I would really enjoy, please let me know. And if you give any of these a go and you go, oh shit, this is fucking fantastic, just don't give me any love, give the devs some love. If they have put something out that you really love the look of, support them, send a comment, send a review, make sure you signal boost them, because these kind of games do kind of live or die on how much the public are aware of them and how much they actually want to play them. Whereas big AAA games kind of come out whether you want them to or not. Looking at you, FIFA. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me ramble about some random shit you can play for free, and I will come back to you later with some more shit. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble, and goodbye.